Millionaire CEO needs a date to his ex's wedding, he picks a random girl. And can't stop staring at her. Ethan Cole was the kind of man who made heads turn, 6'2", chiseled jaw, billionaire tech genius, and CEO of one of the most successful startups in Silicon Valley. But none of that mattered on the morning he stared blankly at the ivory-embossed wedding invitation that had just arrived on his mahogany desk. Catherine and Daniel, May 14th, Meadow Hill Estate. His ex. The woman who'd once promised him forever. And now she was marrying someone else. He could have tossed it, could have ignored it like any normal person. But Ethan Cole was anything but normal. His pride wouldn't let him appear bitter or broken. No, he would attend. And he would bring a date. Not just any date, a wild card, someone unexpected. Someone, real. Scrolling through his assistant's database of potential, appropriate, companions, models, influencers, heiresses, Ethan groaned. It all felt fake. He wanted someone unpolished. Grounded. Honest. That's when he saw her. A coffee-stained shirt, frizzy ponytail, and earbuds in, she was arguing with a vending machine in the break room of the building lobby. I swear, if you don't give me my pretzels, I'm gonna write a 3-page Yelp review in italic, she muttered. Ethan stared. There was something refreshingly normal about her frustration, something oddly magnetic. Need help? He asked, and she turned. Her eyes, a soft hazel with flecks of green, met his with surprise. Unless you've got a crowbar, I don't think you're gonna fix my day. He laughed, genuinely. Actually, I was going to ask if you'd like to come to a wedding. With me. She blinked. I'm sorry, what? Long story, Ethan said. But I could use a date to my ex's wedding. I'm Ethan, by the way. Lila, she said cautiously, eyeing him like he might be dangerous or insane, or both. And I don't date guys who look like they could buy my entire neighborhood. I'll pay you, he offered. I'm not an escort. I meant for your time, just dinner, dancing, and a lot of awkward social small talk. And if you make me laugh even half as much as you just did, you'll get a bonus. She tilted her head. You're serious. Completely. It should have been a joke, a story she'd tell her friends later, but something in Ethan's voice told her this wasn't about flaunting wealth or winning his ex back. It was something deeper. So, against every rule she'd ever set for herself, Lila said yes. They met again 3 days before the wedding. Lila stood outside the boutique Ethan had rented out for her, visibly uncomfortable. This is too much, she whispered, staring at the row of designer dresses. Pick whatever makes you feel powerful, Ethan said gently. Not for them. For you. And something about the way he said powerful, not pretty, made Lila nod. On the day of the wedding, when she stepped out of the car in a deep emerald gown, Ethan stared like he was seeing color for the first time. You're radiant, he murmured, momentarily forgetting his ex, the event, the world. The wedding was grand, the kind you only see in movies. People whispered as Ethan entered with Lila on his arm. Catherine, the bride, glanced over, and faltered. It wasn't jealousy on her face. It was surprise. Ethan wasn't the shattered man she'd expected. He looked alive. Lila fit in nowhere, yet somehow, everywhere. She complimented the waitstaff, charmed the elderly guests with her wit, and even helped a little girl fix her twisted dress sash in the hallway. She was grace without glamour, kindness without effort. Later, at dinner, Catherine approached. You've changed, Ethan, she said quietly. You look happy. I am, he replied, his eyes drifting toward Lila. For the first time in a while. When the speeches began, Lila excused herself to the garden. Ethan followed. He found her sitting on a low stone bench, heels off, toes in the grass, eyes on the moonlit pond. I grew up near a pond like this, she said softly. My mom used to say water remembers everything. All our joys, our pain, it soaks it in. He sat beside her. You're full of stories. I'm full of moments, she said. I keep them. Even the small ones. Especially the small ones. And that was when it clicked. For years, Ethan had been collecting things, cars, stocks, art, thinking they'd fill the empty space Catherine left behind. But Lila collected moments. And somehow, without even trying, she'd handed him one of the most beautiful ones he'd ever lived. The ride home was quiet. Comfortable. When he walked her to her door, she turned to him. Why me? She asked. Ethan hesitated. Because I thought I needed to prove something to Catherine. But then you reminded me I don't need to prove anything. I just need to feel real again. Lila looked up at him, searching. And do you? Yes, he said. Because of you. He leaned in, not for a kiss, but to rest his forehead against hers. No grand gestures. Just presence. In the days that followed, they kept in touch. Dinners turned into walks. Walks turned into late-night talks. Ethan learned Lila volunteered at a local shelter every Saturday. One morning, he showed up unannounced, sleeves rolled, ready to help. She laughed when she saw him, but her eyes shimmered with something warmer. Most people forget kindness, she said. They think success has to come with coldness. I think I've had enough cold, he replied. Weeks later, Lila's building was bought by a new company planning to tear it down for condos. The residents, mostly elderly and low-income, were devastated. Lila was heartbroken. Ethan didn't hesitate. He met with the developers, quietly bought the property under a shell corporation, and restructured the space into subsidized apartments, with improvements to safety and utilities, under one condition: they named the building after Lila's late mother, Maria. When she found out, she cried for the first time in front of him. Not out of sadness, but out of being seen. I didn't do it for thanks, Ethan whispered. I did it because it was the first thing that felt right. I never needed a millionaire, she said, her voice shaking. I just needed someone who gets it. And you do. From the outside, it looked like a fairy tale, girl next door meets billionaire. But what no one saw were the quiet moments, Ethan helping an old man fix his leaky faucet in apartment 3B. Lila bringing Ethan soup when he had the flu. The two of them laughing under broken streetlights, planning their futures not in luxury, but in love. Ethan never went back to who he was before Catherine. He didn't want to. That man was successful but hollow. With Lila, he discovered something no IPO or tech launch could give him: belonging. And Lila? She never expected her life to change with a vending machine and an awkward conversation. But sometimes, the most extraordinary transformations begin in the most ordinary moments. So no, it wasn't about revenge, or appearances, or fairy tales. It was about recognition. One broken soul saw another, and instead of walking away, they stayed. They healed. Together. In the end, it wasn't the wedding that changed Ethan's life. It was the random girl with the coffee stain, the crooked smile, and the heart big enough to change the world, one act of kindness at a time. Because sometimes, the universe doesn't give you what you think you want. It gives you what you need. And if you're lucky enough to recognize it, you hold on tight and never let go.